Welcome to the final review on the Veteran Sherman Electric Unicycle. This is the 1,000-kilometre review, and the mileage has been snacked on very, very quickly on this machine. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, this will be a lot shorter than the first review where everything tends to be covered off there. This is just a catch-up review, so go back and see video 1, 2 and 3. Unboxing and range test, 250-kilometre review video, 650-kilometre review video, and then we're on the 1,000. So go back and watch those. They'll be linked below as well. Also remember to sign up to electricpeople.org. It's a free website that we created for the community to get together and have a chat about these wheels, scooters, electric cars, whatever. Electricpeople.org is a place where you can meet up without having to be on Facebook. There's many customers we've got don't touch Facebook intentionally so, and so they want a place to gather and post up pictures and questions and things like that. We had a question today, for instance, is how do you stop foot ache when you're riding along? We've had questions about riding backwards. People are on there asking questions. You can reply to them and post up solutions, etc. So get involved, sign up for that. It's free. You just sign in with your email address and job done. That's all you need to do. Or don't. But anyway, there's a community there that you can join if you so wish. Moving on to this bad boy. So the previous reviews I've done on it, as I've pointed out, this is my favourite wheel I've ever ridden. Still the case, nothing's changed there whatsoever. I resealed down the LCD panel and I haven't had any issues since, but it's still a question mark in my mind. So I'd have said its weakest point would be the LCD panel at the top. So if this is not sealed down correctly, you've got one wherever you got it from, and it's rising up, you just need to make sure that it's sealed down properly. I've actually got a beading that runs all the way around the outside, and I put double-sided sticky tape, which is what it essentially had to start with anyway. Just redid that before the switches. So if any water ever got in there, you've actually got a beading just before the switches, so they shouldn't come in. See the previous video, it didn't affect any of those switches apart from it wouldn't power down, and it was fixed with some oil, to put long story short. I haven't had any footplate scrape at all. The damage you can see on these is actually from dropping down some severe rocks. Most of it actually done yesterday, annoyingly. I've kept them nice and clean this whole time through all the thick and thin I've been through, but I managed to do a little bit of damage yesterday on the rear, so as you're dropping down kind of thing in really mad places to ride, like incredibly, probably stupid is the word, places to ride. I've left this exactly as it has been. It's not been cleaned once during the 1,000 kilometre. Did the same with the previous video we did, the KS 18. Just so you can see where dirt gathers. There is going to be a mudguard that comes out for this, and there is going to be a seat that comes out for this directly from Veteran. So there you go. We've got all the parts coming in for this. We've got LCD replacement panels. We've got the side panels. We've got light units, rear light units coming in. We've got the bars that go on the outside. So you guys are getting this. I don't know how you're going to manage to do it, but if you manage to damage this in some way, then we'll have the replacement parts in, including off-road tyres and road tyres as well. How has it ridden? Well, I can't really add to what I've already described in the previous videos. It's a pleasure to ride this thing. It really is. You jump on it and it just sits so solid. So whether that's across gravel or on road or mud. So mud, this tyre specifically actually digs in and grips really, really nicely, not only in the centre part, but also on the outside. That's not unique to this wheel because you can fit this tyre, or a similar nature tyre, to other wheels as well as the space allows. So if you're thinking of doing a lot of off-road, a lot of trail riding, or heading into winter and you want to fit something, I'd highly recommend that tyre or a similar tread. Exceptional in all conditions. It's just really noisy on the road, and it's remained really noisy. Nothing's changed. It's exactly the same. You can hear you coming when you're bombing down the road. People look round and think, what on earth is going on? Mentioned that already. The light is spot on. I found as standard. Now it's going to be different for every single one that leaves, presumably. There's slight variations on this. Just 2 Allen keys, fittings, two bolts. Just unscrew them slightly, and you can move that and put it where you want it. I found it was a bit tilting a bit low, so that can be adjusted up and down. Same with the rear. That can be adjusted. The rear light actually stops most of the water without a mudguard. There is a mudguard coming out, but without the mudguard, actually the spray, looking at the slow motion footage, actually stops that flowing over a lot of the back, but it still gets there. A mudguard would be spot on. It would finish it off quite nicely. I found when the fan's cutting in, it's quite efficient. So it'll cool long enough and then shut down. It's not constantly ramping up and down. It's on, cools the machine down, and then shuts off, which is pretty neat, to be honest. I've not found it getting really hot a lot of the time. This machine has been pushed, as I said, so it's done incredibly well. A user did come across a bit of a quirk with this machine. So what they'd done is they'd used an aftermarket charger. I thought it was worth mentioning this. They used an aftermarket charger, and they wrote on electricpeople.org that they just got this, excellent, all arrived, and then posted later on saying, oh, I was sat down watching TV and this thing started beeping and spinning up. Now, there's some very unique circumstances to this. One, it was on a stand like this one is and charging. And the second is that they're using a non-standard charger from AliExpress, and it was an 8 amp charger, I believe, which was my first question. It's like, well, that's weird because you're using an 8 amp charger, but it comes with a 5 amp. You're using a 5 amp and a 3 amp, but yeah, it was an aftermarket charger. And the difference between the one it comes with this is that it's giving out a signal. As long as it's powered, it's actually giving out a signal. And so this wheel, even though it boots up when you plug it in, like a lot of wheels do, it wouldn't then try and stabilize once it finished its charge because it knew the charger was connected. Now, I did some testing on this to try and work out what that was all to do with. If you plug in the standard charger to this and then switch it off at the wall, this will then boot up. So that's worth bearing in mind. Now, it's not a problem if it's stood on the ground, obviously, and it's leant up against something, as long as it's stood upright. It just finishes the charge, you unplug it, which is what I've been doing every single day for 1,000 kilometers. No issues whatsoever. Never come across this problem until someone mentioned it. And it's fine. So if I unplug the charger, it will boot back up, and then you can power it down if you're not actually going out for a ride. Typically, I've been unplugging that charger when I'm just about to get on it and go out and try and stack some miles on it. So that sequence of events never happened. But it is worth noting, if you put it on a stand, or even if it's just standing up, and you have a power cut, the power cut, of course, will then think, it will make this think there's nothing connected, and it will boot up. They are saying that they are going to look at that in a firmware update. So that's a possibility. It's not, that is a very, very niche and quirky problem to come across. But these things do happen through general use. I have not come across it using a standard charger. I've had no issues whatsoever. It's been fine. If you use a non-standard charger, you come across the issue. And don't forget you're using a stand. If you're using a non-standard charger and using a stand and elevating that wheel off the ground, then you could get into the problem of it spinning up. Or the other scenario is you've got a stand and a standard charger and you have a power cut while charging. So you've got those two options basically there. So worth bearing in mind, it's just a user tip essentially. It's not really a fault. It's just a user tip. I would actually recommend these stands that we sell anyway. There are other stands that come out. They're not really suitable for holding this. If you're going to buy a stand with this wheel, I wouldn't really bother. It's quite an effort to get this lined up and sat on it, and it's very, very heavy for this. It does work. I've done it for every single review on this one, but it's just a lot of hard work to get it on there in the first place. So the tip would be is don't put it on the stand whilst you're charging, whether you've got non-standard or standard charger, just because it's safer, isn't it? So if you had a power cut, it's going to cover you for both a non-standard switching off and finishing its charge, or a standard one having a power cut, for instance. You're going to be fine. The important thing to note as well is it does make a loud beep when it's off charge. So when you turn off a charger, it does beep very loudly. Sometimes it beeps a couple of times, and it's like, shh, especially in the morning when I've been trying to get a quick 10-kilometer ride out there in between doing everything else to try and stack the miles on, and it wakes the kids up. So it will warn you when it's disconnected anyway with a loud beep. But just charge it off, stand. The functionality, talking about chargers, of having 2 charge ports and the possibility of having 2 5-amp chargers connected to this machine opens up a whole world of possibilities in terms of long-range riding. This wheel will do 65 miles at worst, essentially, unless you're heavier than me and you're going up a hill constantly. It'll do 65 miles plus, and then you can charge it, of course, with 2 5-amp chargers, giving a 10-amp charge, reducing the charge time incredibly. Yeah, so that is a very neat function. And the functionality of this whole machine is spot on. Every single little bit of it. This area here, with this being sealed, is the weak point that you need to keep an eye on. Make sure that there's no gaps, as I said earlier, but everything else, the fact that you can just look down and view what is going on here. You can track your trip journey by just pressing and holding, resets it. And it does a beep to let you know. When you change the menus, another nice little touch they've added. It was there anyway. When you cycle through the menu, that beep is lower than the other warning beeps. So the alarm for speed, tilt back, etc. is loud. The menu selection is actually about half the volume, which is quite neat because you don't need it blaring out at you. It's not just the same. They've thought of that. So flicking through the menu is really, really simple. It takes a little bit of used to it because they're abbreviated, some of the words, but it's really intuitive. You can just cycle through. The front light, just lean down, press it. There's no sensor to automatically come on like there is with a lot of wheels. I kind of like the utilitarian aspect of this. There's no LEDs on the side with wires filtering through. There's no sensor on there to go wrong, filtering through to the control board, a load of wires everywhere. It's just really crisp and clean. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly clean this up so it looks nice and neat again rather than filthy dirty. So now it smells of apple. Sherman apple. Oh, that's quite potent. Well, so how do I finish this off, this review? I'll tell you why I'm going to finish off the review. I'm going to check the motor cable out because now we've hit 1,000 kilometers and this was stressed out quite considerably over the last, well, since the 650 really. Yesterday in particular, yeah, there was some proper hill climbing and rock drops and all sorts going on there. So let's open up and have a quick look to see if there's any signs of damage to those cables for a final and last time. Okay, I'll show you again with my mobile phone what this looks like, and as you can see there's absolutely no damage whatsoever to the motor cable. It's 1,000 kilometers of use and it has been pushed pretty hard, to be fair. If any of you followed me around for that 1,000 kilometers, a lot of you would struggle, that's how I rate the sort of places it's been taken, the sort of use it has had, especially some of the really steep off-road trails, especially dropping down those as well. It creates a lot of energy required to brake you as you're going down steep hills, pretty much the same as going up. Not quite because you've got gravity on your side, but there's a lot of amperage required to push through there. So that has been performing exceptionally well. In terms of the battery drop-in, it's lovely to look down and just see that display. Secondly, see how much it isn't moving. It's laughable. You're riding along, you do 10 miles, you look down and go, oh, still the same, still got loads of battery. And if you're riding with people and they're riding on a lot smaller machines, you can say, how's your battery? And they go 50%, you go, ha, and you just lost a bar. It's bragging rights, that's all. Very expensive bragging rights, because they'll turn around to you and say, how much does the wheel cost? So there we go. But you've seen the inside, it's performing absolutely fine, no issues whatsoever. It's been brilliant. And a little surprise for you, I am going to continue with these review updates on this wheel specifically. It's not something I'm going to do as a going concern for any other promises for doing any other wheels. 1,000 kilometers is more than enough to get to the end of, is this reliable? Is it good? Yes or no? With almost all the wheels, I think every wheel we've done, they've all got to 1,000 kilometers, and most of them I think, no issues whatsoever. So spot on. You've now got a very good idea. You've got a concrete base for putting an opinion out to how this wheel performs, how it actually is. You can ask questions below if you need to, but go back to the other videos. You've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 videos. What we do get sometimes is people commenting on this video saying, what about this, this, or this? And it's stuff that we spent time and effort and resource into answering in the previous videos. You have to combine all these videos together to get the rounded opinion. This is not a standalone video, nor any other 1,000 kilometer reviews we do. You have to take those 4 reviews, stack them together and go, ah, okay, that's the rounded opinion of this wheel. So there you go. I'm going to soldier on and I will try, if I remember, to report back at 1,500 kilometers and then at 2,000 kilometers, just to prove what an awesome machine it is and to keep on trucking. I will see you on the next review video, which will be an unboxing and a range test of some wheel that we don't know yet. We're going to find out. I'll see you next time. Oh, give it a like. Give this video a like, it's really important. Really important you do that. And subscribe. and comment if you've got any questions. Oh, and go to electricpeople.org. See ya. Chemically apple.